Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vadia, so back in another Card 5 Vanguard deck profile. If you enjoyed, don't like, comment, subscribe, and don't the Patreon. We'll start, shall we? Today we have Dragon Empire, Tamayura. Tamayura, aka the Fox Demon, for the Kitsune, I guess is what they're... No, are they called Kitsunes? Or I know my friend has a DM called Kitsune. I don't remember if it's actually called a Kitsune now. Frick. Damn, I don't know why I want to say Kichiyobi either. I don't remember Fox Demon thing with 9 tails. Anyways, I'm gonna remember by the end of this episode. I know I am. But anyways, Tamayura, it's a very interesting one because I think a lot of us, when we wanted Greedon to be revealed, we all thought based off of how his description was, or most of us. I know there were some people who didn't, but based off his description, a lot of us thought and hoped that he would be a Pale Moon ride line. Even though looking at him, I was like, if he is a Pale Moon ride line, I greatly question Bush's drawing aesthetics. But then when we got Glitter, I didn't think Tamayura from Dragon Empire would be the one to be the what's it called, to be the Pale Moon ride line, because normally like they stick to the nation's aesthetic, and they still had a few more. Like they could have done Takikaze, they could have done Narukami. Yeah, they definitely could have done Narukami. They could have done Nubatama and Murakumo. In terms of aesthetic, they did Murakumo. It's just a weird choice that they made it Pale Moon. Now, I'm saying it's a bad choice because it's a good choice. I'm just saying it's weird. Let's go ahead and get this deck started, shall we? Because there's a lot of interesting things to talk about. So first up, we have our starter, 9-tailed Fox Spirit Tamayura. Grade 0, boost, 5k shield, 6k base, autumn sword upon if you want second, draw a card. Then to special about a standard starter. Here's why I like this. One, I like the nice little umbrella in the background. I always like those in animes. I don't know why. I think they just look cool. And the 9 tails, like, we all know I'm a guy on just arts because I really love if they make something look real or not. One, I like the white cloak a lot, and I like just the clothes. But I like those 9 tails. They look so real, so silky, like the thickness and the fluffiness of them. It actually looks really good, and I like this. So I like this as my starter. So yeah, that's our starter, Tamayura. Then we have our Overtrigger in Dragon Deity King of Resurgence Dragveda. Grade 0, boost, 50k shield, 5k base, Overtrigger, and then 1 Overtrigger in your deck. And reveals a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one of your vehicles, plus from melee for the turn. And if you revealed it during your draft check, activate additional effect, which is choose one of your vanguards and stand it. So that does a lot in Tamayura, because if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, and I'll check that later when we eventually get there, Tamayura, actually no, I'll check that right now if it's a once per turn or not. Is she? She ain't a once per turn, which means this thing is very dangerous in Tamayura because you can just get multi-attack from front row. But not only that, it can just like allow your Vanguard to get more drive checks, and because Tamayura can pump power to front row without Persona Raids, this thing all around is just dangerous card in Tamayura in general, and it's amazing. It's a good Overtrigger all around. So yeah, that's our Overtrigger Dragveda. It's the most simple one and the one that has the least amount of card text on it out of the Overtriggers, but not the most powerful, but definitely one of the better ones. Then we have 3 front triggers in Blaze Maiden Parama. Grade 0, boost, 15k shield, 4k base. Front trigger continues guard circle if your opponent's Vanguard are greater, it gets plus 5k shield, so 20k shield front. Flare Veil Dragon, 4 copies. Draw trigger continues guard circle if your opponent's Vanguard are greater, it gets plus 5k shield, with 5k shield, 4k base, grade 0 and boost. So 10k shield, which is really nice. And then we have 4 crits in Burning Flail Dragon. Grade 0, boost, 15k shield, 4k base, critical trigger, auto rear at the end of the battle that it boosted. Put it to soul, choose one of your vehicles plus 2 for the turn. You don't run it for that skill, but that does come in helpful on very rare occasions, so 4 of. And then we have 4 copies of our regular heal, Blaze Maiden Rona. So, we're going to go over each of these choices one by one. First up, the front trigger. I run the front trigger at 3 because of paranoia. Because there are times, because with this deck, you always want to swing with Tamayura last out of your first 3 attacks. And there are going to be times where you might just not call from soul. And the front trigger wouldn't do much on the secondary attacks. Or, your opponent just might start stacking triggers, you don't want to waste the front on it. And especially because Tamayura can already pump numbers to front row. So, I don't really want to waste more space on the front. It is still good, which is why I run at 3, but you don't need that many fronts compared to everything else. Draw triggers. You need soul, and you need your girls that can send themselves to soul. Don't be dumb, run 4 draws. Also, it's cool. And then we have the crit, if you remember to call it, it will be useful because this deck seems to run into a soul problem if you're not actively trying to not run into a soul problem. So, that's itself. And then the heal. I've explained it in Roroa. I don't know if I explained it in PBO or not. But if you don't know, I don't like the counter heals. And it's not that I think they're bad. I just don't like them because they're not for me. They're both very situational. They only work if either they're two different ones. One of them only works if your opponent is... if the unit that's attacking got an extra critical from something, and the other one is if the same unit the same unit that is attacking has already attacked earlier this turn, then it gets the extra 15k shield. And I don't like that because base shield, they have less. And even though in their situations they would get more shield if they were to go off, so many games I would have lost if I had used those. Because those 5k really make a difference. A lot of people sometimes say, oh no, it's just 5k, it doesn't make a difference. And some people say, it really does. There are games where it does and there are games where it doesn't. But so many games in D I would have genuinely lost if I actually used those heals. So I'm not going to use them. They don't fit me. That doesn't mean I think they're bad. If they fit you, run them at 4 or run them at 2 of each. Do as you wish with them, but I'm not going to run a card that isn't good for me. So 4 of Rona, because she's my heal of choice. That and I actually have good luck with this one, because we've all seen the videos. We've all seen me sack this thing like hell, especially in Nirvana. On to our grade 1s. 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Tamayura Garchie. Grade 1 boost 5k shield, 7k base. Auto and switch card from hand. During your turn, you may put this card to soul. So discard it for anything, mainly Riot deck. You just shove it to soul. It's a really nice card. It's nothing too horrible, and I like it. So I give it a 4. It's nice. The only downside is there's no ability on rear guards, but it's a good grade 1, so 4. Then we have Stealth Fiend Folktale. Grade 1, boost 5k shield, 8k base. Auto was placed on rear guard circle. You may look at top 7. If you do, choose up to 1 normal unit with stealth in its card name or glitter from among them. Put it to soul and shuffle your deck. So you either pick a card with glitter, which thankfully can also be your vanguard, so you can just shove a free soul. Or you can shove a stealth to soul. Point is, you look at top 7, you get a free soul from a normal unit, which is nice, and especially because it can send one of the 2 Diaphragm dolls to soul, and you really need those for Tamayura to be good in terms of multi-attack. So Folktale is honestly the best grade 1 in this deck. She does her job for free, she does her job really well, and there's no reason not to run her at 4. Then we have 4 copies of Twin Blocker Dragon. Grade 1 boost 0 shield, 6k base, contains Sentinel. You may have 4 Sentinels in your deck, and auto is placed on guard circle. Choose one of your units. It cannot be entered into battle, and if your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from hand, discard it. Standard PG, nothing special about it. If you don't know what that means, it means if this is only one of the cards in your hand, would you place it on guard circle, you do not have to discard one, which is nice because you can be as aggressive as you want with this deck and still keep the defensive on the side, especially in this deck where I don't run cards that can summon themselves to soul in battle phase just because I don't need to. So, which means sometimes I have to constantly call over stuff, and I do that for reasons, even though it's extremely uncomfortable to me. The PG helps just being able to keep that recklessness in check and prevent you from dying due to your own negligence. So 4 of the PG because it's actually really good and it saved my ass on several occasions. And then our last grade 1 is the grade 1 of the Riot deck, which is in the Calm Sun Knight Tamayura. You do have to run the starter for this one to go off, which is why you run specifically the Tamayura starter. Grade 1, boost 5k shield, 8k base. Items wrote upon by placed from writing 9-tailed fox spirit Tamayura. Look at top 7, choose up to 1 card with a Rimmy, or a fox art card from among them. Reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. And then it has glitter, which seeks the fire regulars, but we don't know what those are yet, so we'll leave that off to the side until I know when Bushy is going to give us one, and then when they do, I'm going to enjoy it. I don't know why. I know what it is instinctively, or at least I have a feeling of what it's going to be and what it's going to do. I won't spoil it because I don't want to give Bushy ideas, but I'm just going to have to wait out for a few months to see it happen. But point is, Tamayura is really nice. It's probably one of the best grade 1s because here's the thing. It works by riding on top of something. It can fetch you your 3 main cards in the main deck. You either want your Order, which is amazing, the Fox art. You either want Rimmy or Rimmy, who is required for the Tamayura grade 3, and the only cost is that it rides from the specific starter. It is an amazing grade 1. Unfortunately, it has no rear guard skills, but it's still good in the Riot deck, so 1 of Riot deck. Speaking of which, we have our Order right here in Fleeting Shine That Lights Life. It's our Fox art Order, grade 2, Blitz Order. Play it by Soul Blasting 2 if you have a Vanguard Tamayura in its card name, also grade 2 by the way. Choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets continuous Vanguard. All your opponent's farmer units lose 10k for the turn. All your opponent's farmer units lose 10k, and it gets that ability till end of turn. So it's a Soul Blast 2. Now here's the thing. A lot of people say this is Shirayuki. You are half right and you are half wrong. It is not just Shirayuki. It is better than Shirayuki. And the reason why I'm specifying this is because Shirayuki just says the unit that it targets loses it. Which means, if they call over, the called unit doesn't lose power. This one gives the skill to the Vanguard, who means everything that is in that front row this turn, regardless of when it's called there, is losing that 10. Which is amazing, because that saves you on so many defenses. Like, I remember I was playing Bastion with Tamayura. I still lost in the end because trigger sacking is a thing, but whew. And this thing saved me from death because I was able just to nullify their triggers and just defend myself throughout it. If I didn't have this, I actually would have lost by a total of 10k shield. So this order saves me so much, and it's only Soul Blast 2. And yeah, I say sometimes you will run into a Soul Blast problem unless you're actively trying to not run into a Soul Blast problem, but all around, this order is amazing. Always try to keep a copy of it in hand. I say this is a top priority search for this skill, unless you have neither Rimmy or Ramimi in your hand, then search them. But this is probably my preferred search target if I have one or the other in my hand. So 3 of Fleeting Light that shines life. And now we're on to our normal units in grade 2s. 4 of Stealth Rogue of Connection Sumagi. Grade 2, Intercept 5k shield, 10k base, items placed on rearguard circle, soul blast 1. Choose a normal unit with stealth in its card name or glitter from your drop zone and put it to your soul. Now, you may be wondering, what's the point of this? It's just a soul blast and then you get a soul from drop, so it's effectively on place. Swap a soul with a card in your drop. Here's why. Once more, you need Rimmy and soul to get their effects off. The only way to get them into soul is to intercept with them or guard with them. And your opponent, if they see them on board, and they most likely will hit the board due to Tamayura, they're probably going to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to let them get a free 5k shield and a card back to soul. I'm going to swing into it, or I'm just going to kill it by effects. This is where Sumagi comes in. You soul blast something you don't need, and then you send that Rimmy or Ramimi back into your soul, and boom, they wasted an attack on your rear guard that you didn't need because you could just get it back to soul. Literally, Sumagi is probably one of the best cards. His skill is so weird, but at the same time, it is literally one of the better skills because it can just bait people in, because you can use your own important grade 2s to bait people into swinging into them, and then just Sumagi them back into soul, and then they just wasted attacks killing your rear guards that they didn't need to waste attacks on. So, 4 of Sumagi, it's an amazing grade 2. I can see people running it at 3, but run it at least at 3 because it actually is amazing. It's a good card. Speaking of which, we have our main grade 2s now. We have Twin Direful Dolls Rimmy, grade Rami, grade 2 Intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto when it's placed on rearguard circle if you have rearguard Rimmy in card name, Soul Blast 2, draw a card. This is my favorite out of the two. They both have a skill that is Soul Blast 2 when it's placed, and if you have a rearguard with the other one's name, you get the skill off. I prefer this one. This one's just a lot better because the draw is helpful. And then Glitter Tamayura, activate your Vanguard as a glitter with Tamayura in its card name. Just like the Aurora cards, as long as the Vanguard has the glitter ability and is not in glitter, I mean, it can be in glitter, but as long as it has the glitter ability and has the card name, then it works. This card becomes in glitter, and while it's in glitter, when it's retired from guard circle, you may shove it to soul. Regardless if it was intercepted into there, or it was guarded from hand, or guarded from anywhere, seconds retired from guard circle, goes to soul. Really nice, refills your soul from the cost of its own skill, and you can call it out with Tamayura later. So all around, Mimi's really good. I like it. It's a 4 of, and is my favorite out of the two Twin Direful Dolls, because Soul Blast 2 to draw is amazing. And then we have my least favorite out of the two, Twin Direful Dolls Rimmy, grade 2 Intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto when it's placed on rearguard circle if you have a rearguard with Rimmy in its card name, Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and put that unit to soul. They literally stole Lunatic Dragon's skill from V, where it was when it's placed on rear from the Vanguard's ability, shove an opponent's rearguard to soul if it was placed by a Hari. Except they made it worse by making it a Soul Blast 2 cost and requiring another unit. Then again, it already required a unit, but making it a Soul Blast 2 cost. So, fair, weird choice. I mean, at least it can be used during the battle phase, which is when you're going to call these things. But, yeah, I like this more because the draw is actually more helpful than sending a rearguard to soul. Like, on certain decks, this will be really helpful against. But then afterwards, it's not that useful, and I just prefer to use my 2 soul on this. And then Glitter Tamayura, activate your Vanguard as a glitter with Tamayura in its card name. Auto when it's placed, auto retire from guard circle, you may put it to soul. So these two have the same ability when they're in glitter. Difference is their first effect, which is when they're placed. I prefer to use this one more. I know some people who prefer to use this one more. Either way, you still run them both at 4 because they require the other one to be useful, and Tamayura requires both of them to be useful. So, run both these at 4 because they're both really good in their own respective rights. Only downside is they both cost 2 soul for their skills to use, but as long as you're not spamming them every consecutive turn for those skills, you are doing fine. So 4 of each. And then we have our last grade 2, which is the grade 2 of the ride line, Festival of Burning Tamayura. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. I don't know, I still like her clothes in this one. I don't like her face in this one. I do like her umbrella, I do like her tails, and I do like the lantern. So, we got mostly everything correct. Auto, when it's placed on rear... Auto was placed by riding from In the Calm Sunlight Tamayura. Choose up to one card with Rimmy, and its card name from your drop and put it to hand, and glitter 6 to 5 regalias. So, let me get this straight. Ride this from the starter, get Rimmy or Ramimi from among them, then discard it when you ride into Tamayura for ride deck, and then just bounce it back to hand. I don't know why Bushy just keeps giving all these ride lines, or like all these newer ride lines skill to say like, oh, let's bypass the rules and say, I don't have to discard for my ride line, let me just get a free one. In fact, let me first why is Dragon Empire getting all these cards? They have so many that just act as free, like, ride lines. Like, for example, Haley Bardra for what's it called? For Basvagra, that's a free ride line. Just discard an arms and you get the arms right back. Shihab from just Dragon Empire in general literally requires you not to discard as long as he's on board. Tachiugare, well, you still have to discard, but he's going to soul for it. We have so many ways just to skip the cost of ride line discards in Dragon Empire, to the point where I'm questioning, are they just favoritisming Dragon Empire for all these ride line discards? You're starting to see unfair here. But either way, Tamayura is amazing. Nice skill, nonetheless. 1 copy in the ride deck, none copy in the main deck, because you can't run in the main deck and be useful at it. And then we're on to our last card in the deck, which is 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck of our main grade 3 Deepening Night Tamayura. Grade 3 turns up Persona at 13k base, and I just have to... Oh yeah, by the way, these are not Pale Moon, Dark Stage Dual Nation with Dragon Empire. I forgot to mention that earlier. Anyways, Tamayura, first up, let's just go over her art. Like the tail, like the outfit, like the face, like the umbrella, like the weird green fruit that has wind coming from it, and then we have the moon. I think we all know my opinion on this, and I think we all know how biased I am towards this card, so let's just stay out of that and just go into the skill. On the van, at the beginning of your ride phase, you get all your front row units get +5 for the turn. So let's just stop there for a second. The player gets that ability, not this, which means at the start of your ride phase, granted the turn you ride this you can't, or at least ride it from ride deck, you can't use it, but then after that, for the rest of the turn, or for the rest of the game, as long as a copy of Tamayura is on your Vanguard circle at the start of your ride phase, you as the player will get +5k to your entire front row, including the Vanguard, which means when you ride, you still keep that 5k. You just get half a Persona ride, which is amazing, and you do it all for free. And then when you Persona ride, that's a +15k to front row, and that does so much in a multi-attack deck. That does so much for so little cost. So already this thing was amazing. Like, if they just made that the skill, or like they could have just made that skill at the beginning of your ride phase, all your counterblast 1 and all your all your units get +5k for the rest of the turn, and that would have been good. Like, even if that was its only skill, that would have straight up been the best card, or one of the best grade 3s ever. And then they made it better. I mean, granted, they kind of restricted the front row, but then they gave it another skill to benefit out of it. So auto van, not once per turn, when it attacks into anything, counterblast 1 and choose one of the following. Choose a card from your soul called to rearguard, or choose a card with Rimmy in its soul, and from your soul, and a card with Ramimi in its soul, and call it to rear. So either call 1 card or call 2 cards, but those 2 cards would have to be specifically Rimmy and Ramimi. And then it glitter searches the fire regalias. So let's get this straight. This thing can give power to your multi-attack, so always go first with this deck. It can get you only 1 call if you really wanted it, and it can still be one of these 2 if you're only choosing to call 1, it's just that it just doesn't specify. Or you can call 2, they will still have the +5. If you Persona right there, +15, so they're both 25s, and if you sack the over, because it's not a once per turn, you can just do it again if you have 2 more in the soul, or you can just call 1. Tamayura is the most terrifying card I've ever seen because it costs 1 counterblast to do all of its skills, and it's the dumbest card I have ever seen with such easy skills to pull off, and the numbers that it can hit and the multi-attack it can do, to the point where I question where is Bushy going with this crap, and how powerful is the Fire Regalia card going to be when it makes these cards good. Either way, Tamayura is amazing. 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the Riot deck, and the turn you Persona ride this, I pity your opponent because they probably ain't living. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Honestly, this is definitely one of my favorite ones. I like the aesthetic of the foxes. I definitely like the tail designs. I like all of them. I like the moon. Obviously, I like the wind fruit over here. And I like the pale moon theme of it, especially because when they made this, I was going through my small pale moon phase of wanting to play pale moon a lot, so I got to get my pale moon cards back. Spam rear guard calls, get my multi-attack, get literally free +5 just by this thing being on the Vanguard. It is purely amazing. This deck is fun. That's the only thing I can describe it as. It's just fun, it's strong, it's good. If the only thing I can say to make it better is instead of running Tachigare, you could run that grade 3 that just says at the end of the battle they attack, shove it to soul, and someone gets +5 just so you don't have to call over units. But the reason why I choose to call over units is because it kind of baits some people into thinking like, oh, he's being ballsy, he's calling units from hand to rear, that means he has less cards to guard with and stuff like that, because he's resorting to using his hand on this. No, that's not what it means. It just means I'm baiting you. You'd be surprised of how much that logic actually works more than it should. So, that's it for this deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join Discord, follow Twitch. I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.